Like this. Good job.
Now you've got a knee in my cheek.
This is fine.
Yeah, in the camera.
Oh yes, we can have our drinks while we're talking.
Yeah.
More sitting drinks
So-
here. That was very good delivery.
Yeah.
Have.
Thank you.
It's like fresh lime with some masala.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Cheers. Khelo Rugby. Khelo Rugby. Khelo Rugby. So,
How's that?
now the camera is rolling, pressure is up. We can concentrate on our food. There's no interview. The first thing we would love to start is why India? Because you were a diplomat and you've been to a lot of many places. So why coming back to India and choosing this place to make players grow? And
Well, let's say to start with, I sort of didn't come back. I never left. So
amazing.
that was the thing. I didn't come back. I just never left. I came here as a British diplomat, as you say, and posted to Kolkata. So I suppose the thing is, I never left. I came to work in Kolkata, worked at the British Deputy High Commission, which was just kind of similar to that way.
Park Street.
Yeah, it's just past Park Street. And I guess that I didn't think that I would kind of come here to live forever. I thought that at the end of my three and a half years of my job, that I would take the chance to sort of stay on and do something different. So it's been encouraged as part of your career to have different experiences, see different side of life. So I took that opportunity. I took a kind of career break, what was called a career break. But that was 15 years ago. So the career break has lasted quite a long time. And I like Calcutta. I mean, I love Calcutta. It's a nice. It's actually an easy city to live in. People are very friendly. Everybody's, people are. It's like every city. People are busy. They have their own lives. They have their own families. But it's a city that sort of welcomes people. Is interested in people from outside, from different cultures, and so yeah, it's kind of I find it, the work is I've developed, organised this little charity. We have the rugby, all the kids, so it's become a real kind of passion, Calcutta, and all the work that we do.
Wonderful. So why you choose this game, rugby? Is this special or?
So I think rugby chose me really. It was. I was always interested in rugby as a kid. Growing up, we played at school. I can remember when we first started playing rugby at school. Like none of my family knew rugby or were interested in rugby, but I was like I'd always talk about it. Even now, my mum would say, she remembers that I'd talk about it and playing, and I got into the school team, and I wasn't very good. I was still too short and slow then.
Your pop then?
Huh?
Your pop that time? Or?
No, I played as a hooker. I played in the school team as a hooker, and I was kind of, when I look back on it, I must have been really rubbish. Because I kind of now been coaching, seeing people play, understand the game much more, and I really don't think I understood the game. Wasn't very good, but I loved it. I suppose that was the thing. And so then I never played. I went to my job, working around the world, but I always kept a kind of watched results, loved the Six Nations, this Ireland, Scotland, England, France, Wales kind of tournament. So always followed that. And then coming to live in Calcutta. So the bank manager actually, when I first came to live here, I met the bank manager. Because that's in those days, you sort of went to the bank, you signed some documents. And all happens online. And then he took me to a football match. So he was a mad football fan, and I'm still in touch with him. And he now lives he's the head of Standard Chartered Bank in Nepal. And he sort of took me to a football match. So we went out to the football match. East Bengal Mohun Bagan, absolutely crazy, fans everywhere. At that time, and packed stadium, Salt Lake Stadium. And in fact, even before I went to that match, when I landed in Calcutta for the first time, and I was driven into the city from the airport, we passed the Salt Lake Stadium, and I said to the driver, I said, "What's that stadium?" And I was thinking, "Is that Eden Gardens? It doesn't look like it." And he said, "Oh, it's Salt Lake Football Stadium." And I kind of was, "Oh wow, so people play football." And he started telling me about football. Then the bank manager told me about football. Then I got invited to the horse racing, and then I got invited to go and watch a rugby match. And so suddenly this whole kind of side of Calcutta was opened up to me that I'd never really thought about. I was diplomat, so I was thinking about trade, I was thinking about politics, sort of visas, looking after British people. So this idea of sport, it never really, when you research in the city, you learn a little bit, but it was amazing. It just opened my eyes, and I got involved in all sorts of different things. And eventually, it was literally in an office. We used to have a little bar in the office. And one night, I wasn't there actually, but I'd sort of had this idea, and two friends, John and Gary, they were sort of drinking in the pub and in the bar, and they came to the next morning. They said, "Oh, let's do that. Let's have a rugby. Let's play a bit of rugby." And so that's really how it started. And we found a rugby ball in some dusty, kind of misshapen, yellowed from the sun rugby ball in a shop in the city. And we said to our, the people who worked for us as drivers, as kind of security guards, a few other colleagues, we're going to show you this game. And we went out on the field, not far from here, and started throwing a rugby ball about. And then it sort of cascaded. And I sort of still look back on it and think, how did that happen to my life? I really enjoyed being a diplomat. It's a great, I'd say that as a career to everybody. It's an amazing career. It's travelling. You get really well looked after. You get the sort of inside on loads of different interesting political and world sort of world affairs. So it was never like that I was like trying to run away from that. I mean, I had every intention of going back to it, but it sort of just overtook me, and ever since it's overtaken me.
So you're stuck?
I mean, I wouldn't like to think I'm stuck.
Because you enjoy this.
Yeah, exactly. It's sometimes I'll wake up occasionally in the morning,
and you're a diplomat?
and I'm, and there's perhaps the power has gone in the house, and I'm kind of like some breakfast I don't feel like eating, or somebody's just left me a fish head for my lunch, and I think, and I do feel a bit stuck.
The privilege are gone.
All those kind of that. There's nobody kind of bringing me a cup of tea in the morning. But it's great fun. It's people. It is fun, and it's got and that's the thing. It's like passion. It's fun. Youngsters like Pratab keep you motivated, keep you kind of driven. And someone like Pratab will say, "Oh, sir, you need to think about this. You need to do this." And I'll go, "Okay, yeah, let's do it."
So you were with people before as a diplomat. Now you're with a lot of people right now.
Yeah.
So you haven't changed your job. It's just twist,
Yeah. I mean, it was less people.
Yeah, there were less people. Now you're some privileged intellectual people. Now you're like with everyone.
So it was. It's more people. But then I always Calcutta is a city of people.
Exactly.
I think that's the thing about Calcutta is it has this heritage. It has these kind of stories of the fight for independence. It has the struggles that India had. It has these industrial houses. It has amazing stories. But underpinning all those stories are the people. Whether they're rich, poor, whether they're from outside of the state, whether they're Bengali, pure and bred, wherever they've come from, the city is this mixing pot of Indian people. And at one point would have been this mixing pot amazing. I'd love to have seen it in 1920s and 1930s when it was this international mixing pot. You know, when there was Italians and French people, and it would have been very interesting. But you know, even now it's this kind of melange of different people, different ideas, who all kind of come together with their different food, with their different lives, with their different values, and they all kind of mix it and share this experience of this what's an amazing city actually.
And how and when was your eureka moment when you were done with your job and you were like, this is what I want
I'm
to
still
do?
waiting.
Waiting for that?
Still waiting for the
Oh
eureka
man,
moment. No.
such hunger, no.
No, I kind of, that's what people kind of expect me to have some eureka moment. Or some kind of sudden revelation that, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And I suppose, if I look back, I can't say that there's a point where I thought, this is, I mean every day, not every day, but every week something will happen. You know, the pandemic was a tough time for everybody, so that's kind of, we have to sort of set that aside from normal life and normal emotions. But like, you know, so I come and sit here, and I love this place. This is the Calcutta Rangers Club on the Maidan. You can hear the trams some days. You can hear the noise of the road, the crows, the parrots. Yeah, Eden Gardens will be lit up during a test match or the IPL.
Kolkata's balcony.
Yeah, and it's like, it's Calcutta's balcony.
It's Kolkata's balcony. You can see everything happening from there.
Exactly.
It's Kolkata's balcony.
Which is just why I love it. And I come here, and I'll sit here, not always on fresh lime soda, sometimes I'll have beer. And it just makes me feel kind of nice. Feel warm.
So this is actually the best place in Kolkata right now.
Yeah, this is one of the best places.
See the Kolkata.
This is the ground where we start playing rugby.
Oh, yeah, wonderful.
Exactly.
As a kid, we start everything here.
Just 10 yards over the fence. And it's really where it started. We did play in, because I played in a few other places, but I'd say that this ground here, which we were eventually thrown off
a couple of times
for cricket. But this was the place, and so you'd have practice, come here, have a drink, and it became this place where, you know, the young people were also very welcome. You know, we'd sit and have soft drinks, and you know, now Pratab will have a beer. But you know,
you're putting on him, and you want it. Good.
Later.
That's what diplomat.
And it's his fault.
No, you can have.
And so we, you know, the kids come. You know, they'll come and they'll have soft drinks.
Yeah, also there's a water system which you can because during monsoon you may get like wet and then you come here, you wash yourself.
You can wash yourself.
Because we all have to catch a bus to go some different locations.
So this is
like,
the main part.
So we come here, we wash ourselves, we catch a bus, we go home, and then we go.
Wonderful. So this is the place where everything started.
Yeah.
Eventually.
For most of
everybody actually.
Everybody is now kind of
like most of the adults now started as a kid here.
So you have already talked about all the good things of Kolkata, but something that you don't like or you feel like, I don't want this. Three things you don't like about India or Kolkata or the people here. There could be many, I know.
I think I got a bit stuck in London during the lockdown, and so I think that it's easy to sort of be critical or take your values and compare your values to the way other people live.
Okay.
So and I really try hard to kind of avoid doing that because everybody lives a different life.
Exactly.
And wherever your people are in the world, they live their life. You know, I could say, the driving, it drives me mad. But it's okay. It's the city. It's the culture. It's kind of, you have to accept. You know, it's like, it's not even accepting it. Accepting it is not. It's like that's what it is, and you have to and it does not. I sometimes get angry and get short-tempered, and you know, I was riding my cycle the other day. There's some poor passenger in a car who had the full wrath of my anger as they pulled in front of me on the cycle. And they must be sitting at home thinking, "Ooh, there's some crazy guy who started yelling at us in the car." And so, you know, it's
Also
always...
because they can't understand, so it's like maybe.
Well, no, they kind of
Yeah,
they didn't think there was anything wrong in just pulling up out in front of me, and obviously I did and told them. So I think it's, you know, I wouldn't ever sort of list the things I don't like. I get frustrated, like I get frustrated everywhere. I was stuck in London, I got frustrated there. Sometimes I'll have bad days here. I think everybody's the same, aren't we? We all kind of have good days, bad days.
So it's about our own inner self, it's not outside.
Exactly.
that
You can't.
find out.
It's easy,
Yeah,
and that's what people do. It's easy to blame.
Yeah, so they put
the city's made. You know, this person's done something, made me angry, and I'll sometimes get angry with some of the young kids, or not young kids, but some of the older boys and girls, and sometimes it's not real.
So you
Because
understand
you have to sort of shock them a little bit, because it's, you know, it's teenagers, it's adolescents. They sometimes, I think, you know, sometimes they need a bit of a shake.
Even we got to know about the mad second half thing.
Yeah, that's the story.
I want to know the story.
Obviously,
Me?
you seem to be very controlling your emotions. You are very well aware of your emotions, like you said that everything is outside, the good and the bad. So, what is the story of winning the second half, and what is that push you give to the team?
I'm not sure I know that story.
Don't look at him. Don't look at
I'm
him.
not sure actually. I mean, I've become much better during rugby matches. I have to say that I was for a long time I was completely out of control. And so I've tried to become. I mean, what do you think, Boss? I've got better.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean,
Sita wants to have a beer, of course you.
I mean, I definitely was a bit of an idiot and didn't behave in the right way. I'd get wild with the referee.
I would say it was like a
that
motivation
worked.
for us as a player in the ground.
Yeah,
you know, we
that
are losing
worked.
in this first half, and then he comes in and
That's
talks
what I'm
about
saying, that
something,
worked.
and you know, you get motivated, and
That
you just
idiot worked.
boost yourself,
Sometimes
And that's how you won the matches.
Sometimes you have to give a bit of a rocket. You know, it's like that kind of. I mean, I think that, but it can't. It doesn't work if you do it all the time.
Yeah. Not every
Because then people just become adjusted to, oh, he's going to start
say
shouting.
that.
The uniqueness of the thing will lose.
Yeah. So you have to. So I've now realised that I have to, and it annoys people. And then people aren't cooperative and helpful. You know, they'll hear me trunching away on the side. Oh, this thing, that thing, this thing, that thing. And I was too much of that, and I realised, and
That I have to change my
kind of
routine.
had to sort of step back a bit and try not to get too wild.
I would
with,
say, you know, sometimes we used to take it like, you know, it used to like, you know, pump us from inside, because they used to say that, hey, look at this kid, you know, the kids are looking at you, they can cheer for you,
Right.
you know, they want to go back with smile, you know. This,
I saw my secrets or something.
I'm learning it from you, so that I can, when I become a coach, I can use those tactics.
So what was that secret?
Have a cheese ball.
Yeah. So you yourself
It used to be a good kind of motivational talk, which kind of make us.
So that's the passion attached to the game and the people. It speaks for itself.
And in rugby, has that kind of passion. You know, it's a physical contact game. It's, you know, you have to have that. I mean, that passion has to.
Energy and
Energy has to keep going, or else you just sort of give up. You know, you get hit and somebody knocks you over, but you have to have that the blood. You know, it's that idea of having a very fast heart. To kids, I'm always saying it, is that if you like this game, if you enjoy this game, how do you think you can carry on playing it? And so they'll think, and they might not answer straight away, but for me, the answer to that is, okay, if I'm a young kid and I want to carry on playing, what can I do? Well, I can stay in school. If I'm in school, then I can play. If I go to college, I can play. So it's kind of helping the youngster to see that as a way of kind of staying in the game, carrying on playing. That actually, if I do well in my exams and I do well in my studies, then I can get this other thing that I enjoy doing. So it's kind of helping them to discover that.
How do you see privilege working in sports and in life? how big as an impact?
Privilege. I think it's there, isn't it? You can't ignore it. You can't take away. It's if you're an athlete, if you're a sports person, you've got more chance of succeeding if you come from a privileged background, because your family will be able to take you to practice. They'll be able to afford coaching,
Good gear,
equipment.
equipment.
So that's why I think football is a great leveler, because it's about football, and why rugby is a great leveler. If you look at where I'm from, so although I was born in England, I grew up in Wales, and so the Welsh rugby story is very different to the English rugby story. So the English rugby story is about privilege, it's about private schools, kids who get, it's kind of, it's history, not today, but its history is a privileged history. Whereas in Wales, it was a working class history.
That's an underdog.
Yeah, so it was the working men, the miners, the steel workers. They were the people who all played rugby. So it was a working man's sport.
There's a lot of connect from your past to your present. I mean, the rugby that you are creating here is Wales rugby.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, it's Welsh rugby, yeah.
And also being a diplomat, you're with people, and currently you're with a lot of many people, so your past has a lot of connect with your present. Do you agree on it?
No, I can see that it shapes you, doesn't it? And it's things that are familiar, so you kind of, you go back to those things. So you go back to, I was familiar with, love Welsh rugby. I kind of still, my heart is in Welsh rugby. I have to be careful what I say, because my family are Irish, so, but it is probably where my heart really is. And so that kind of, somebody sent me a tweet yesterday, and they said, that you've done great work in the democratisation of sport, and I like that idea. It's like it's kind of giving everybody the same fair chance.
Exactly.
And I love that idea, that if you can be a democratiser of sport. I love that idea. He sent me this, commented on something I'd written, and I thought, that's exactly what I'd like to do. I think it's really that to give everybody a sort of equal chance, and that opportunity to excel is really nice.
So even if you don't,
So when you discuss this idea with your family,
Let's not go there.
we surely want to know, because it's a very tough decision, leaving the job
Very
and
difficult.
starting.
So I only have a mum and a brother.
Okay.
So that's the family. So it's not a very big family. And so my mum she found it difficult to accept what I was doing, because she got me to where she had supported me through that career, and brought me up, obviously, and so she had seen this youngster who came from kind of humble background. I don't come from money or anything, so quite a humble background, do really well. And I'd done well, and I got promoted, and I'd got opportunities, and I'd got good jobs, and she'd come and see me in these different parts of the world, and the lovely houses, and the people that I was mixing with. So when she realised what I was doing, when I spoke to her about it, she felt quite sad, I think. She was, nervous for me, worried for me. And she still, I think, as in her heart, finds it difficult to accept to accept and understand. So she wouldn't sort of say that now. But I think sometimes if the tension gets a bit high in the house, I can see that she still thinks that a little bit. And one of the great things, so a couple of years ago, I got an award from the Queen of England, this MBE.
There's a photo
in the office, and so it's called the MBE. And it's like this award, like you have in India, these kind of presidents. Exactly.
Honor for.
It's like an civilian honour. So to receive that, I went to Buckingham Palace, and the Queen's son, Prince Charles, he gave me that award, and my mum and brother came with me. So that was like, for my mum, now at last you know, I used to brag about what my son did before. Now I've got the chance to do that again. Oh, we're going to Buckingham Palace. We're gonna have meet. You know, we're gonna have some tea. We're gonna meet the Queen. We didn't meet the Queen, but anyway, we met her son. So yeah, that was kind of a good moment for my mom.
That award was for Khelo Rugby, right?
Yeah, so that was for like Jungle Crows. It was, I think, it was like for British-India relations and for youth development.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it was nice, and it was nice. It comes, your name comes in the newspaper. You get an invitation to Buckingham Palace. You get this little medal.
Yeah, it's like
which I have to remember where
getting to prove what you're doing.
Yeah, it's kind of a validation. That somebody said, okay, what you're doing is nice, it's good.
Because somebody is saying it.
Yeah. So yeah.
That is great. Has she ever been to Kolkata?
Yeah, many times. Yeah. She's been here, she's sat here, she's had a beer here. She likes to have a beer.
She likes the atmosphere.
She likes Calcutta. She liked it more when I had a very posh house. And a cook. And somebody who cleaned and ironed and all that. So she liked it more then. But she likes it. She's a bit older now, so she's not really the right place for her to come to.
Yeah, exactly.
Anywhere at the moment.
Maybe still she's like protected about you.
Yeah, of course. I think
that's why she doesn't have it.
Is everybody's mum thinks about them, worries about them. And especially when you say, oh, I'm gonna, go and live in the city just on my own, and it's like, what are you
work with people?
Yeah.
Also, I've heard that at some point of time in your life, you were very political and vocal, and now no, this is not coming from anywhere. This is something that I got myself. So, and now you have lived that part a little bit and being very.
I mean, I think I've never been political. I kind of have. I have like everybody. I think I have political views, and I have ideas that I think are right. I have that. I think that as a diplomat, one of the things is that you can't have your own views in a lot of ways. I mean, you have to have your own views, but you sort of have to they have to be yours, and your job is to represent the government and what the government policy is and what the government is asking you, is paying you to talk about and to represent. So you kind of, I'm kind of quite, I find it comfortable, if you like, not to kind of be pushing my own ideas, although they're still there. I have ideas about how people should be looked after in the world and how we should do more for the environment, and I have all those kind of ideas that are
to the person.
Yeah, but I also understand that I'm a guest in India, and so it's not my place to say how things should be done or how things should be run. It's not my position. If somebody wants to ask me, I'm happy to tell them what I think as an opinion. But it's kind of not my place to be here to sort of judging what a politician says or does. And so I kind of just stay out of that, really.
But as your personal core values and your ideology, I mean, only if you're comfortable in asking it, where do you lie from left to right center?
A little bit left, I suppose. Yeah, I'm comfortable saying it. I mean, I'd say it.
That's
left. I mean, I'm like not. I wouldn't. If I'm thinking about British politics, I can comment on that, can't I? I wasn't in. I think Brexit's a disaster. I think that that suddenly our re-engagement with parts of the world that we kind of had walked away from at the end of kind of India's independence, and suddenly we want India to be our greatest partner, and you think, okay, well perhaps India's moved on from what you're expecting. So I kind of I have those kind of ideas.
Wonderful.
Most of them are rubbish.
Every person on the left side thinks that their idea is rubbish, but they at the core they know that these are the ideas that you want.
I think people are. I think the thing is, everybody wants the world to be fair and people to be looked after, and so it's all about it's how do you achieve that. So I think there's some kind of right wing ideas of I think business has to be successful, has to be allowed to flourish. People have to be able to make money because that motivates people incredibly. So you got to take that away, and it doesn't you know, communism shows that if you just take those kind of ideas away,
uphold.
doesn't
That
necessarily
doesn't work. But what you are doing is actually with the people. It's actually socialism, and
I think
we are still on the same.
What I think is really important is whatever we do as an organisation, it should be driven by the youngsters themselves.
Exactly.
So it shouldn't be me. I mean, you end up having to do it sometimes. But if I can push as much of the work, not the work, but push as much decisions, ideas, and push that out, and then it should come from the kids. Yeah? And I'm always saying to coaches, ask the kids, talk to them, and we all have that kind of. We all end up kind of telling people what to do. Oh, do it this way, do it that way. Paint that green, paint that yellow, draw that line there. And it's a temptation that we all have, and we just have to. So I try and say to people, just hold yourself back. Just see what happens if you don't have that control. And it's difficult. It's difficult for me sometimes. It's difficult for everybody to sort of hand over that control and say, okay, you lot. Because people will take a different route and they'll take a different path, and they might give me different outcomes. But it's okay. It's alright.
And we heard a story about. We heard from too many stories.
It's been 9 days
You might
now,
think
so
we don't know, but
so one story is that you are kind of observe people that who understand English or who don't, and you sometimes use funny
and then you
words.
verify the same thing by saying, did you eat shit? And then the person is like,
So I mean, I know the story.
Like Sabudul story or.
So how do you verify
That's
this?
a terrible thing. That's a terrible thing.
No, it's so
That makes me look like a real horrible person. But yeah, there is a story whereby one of our very nice young guys, he was a lovely guy, and
He's a great player.
Yeah, he was a really good player, and he would talk to me, and I'd ask him something, and he'd say yes,
sir.
So I threw one time I said, oh, what's up for your lunch? And he was like, oh, I can't remember what he said. Oh, curry. And I said, oh, horse. Yes, sir. Horse? Yes, sir. And so the joke became that I'd always ask him, whatever the conversation was with him, I'd kind of introduce the idea of eating horses. And so any animal rights people don't get, nobody actually ate a horse.
That's good.
But it was just like, it was a bit cool, really. And even he eventually, he'd go, no horse.
I mean, after he realized
After quite a
it's
few
not
months,
yes, it should be no. No, sir, no.
This is a good trick that you picked, no?
horse. So now I kind of, people sometimes they'll be looking at me to see if I'm going to ask somebody about horses.
People are quite conscious with you now. Anytime you can throw anything and they have to be like, oh, did you hear
Normally
it?
about horses.
Good cover up, huh? Once a diplomat, always a diplomat.
Yeah, of course.
That's right, good cover up. So, are we left with any questions? How did you enjoy?
Your light must have gone now. It'd be like these dark shapes.
Did you enjoy the interview?
Yeah, I was good. I liked it. You?
Great, we loved it. Is it happening? Is it rolling?
It is rolling.
Check this one also.
It was not.
We might lose this story.
We both are rolling.
How deny I ever said these things?
Now it's on you. You wanted to ask something.
No. I think it's really good. I think you guys have done a really. You've shown yourselves to be very adaptable, which is really nice. I think when people come and they can. It's like, no, I think this idea that sometimes people are quite judgmental, and you come from a background where you have a right to be judgmental because you're learning about the sort of stuff we're trying to do, and we don't, and I'm very conscious that we're not experts. We're just kind of, we're not following any manual. Sometimes we should be more expertise, so more expertise, but we're not.
With the life and with the flow.
Yeah, so it's kind of, all the kids are. Everybody's there who's not, there's no real experts. So perhaps when one of you graduates, you can come back and work for us and put us back on the right track.
Exactly. No, you guys are already on the track. And it's all learning and accepting things and then moving on between hit and trial. Life is a hit and trial.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just trials.
Yeah.
And there's no, but you've got to keep doing it, haven't you?
Yeah,
That's the other thing. It's there's no kind of final. You just got to keep going and enjoying and having fun. And
we never know when we are on the peak and when we are on the bottom.
exactly.